Have you ever really stopped and thought about how you were raised? Today, we're going to break down the psychology of parenting. We'll explore the core styles that researchers have identified and, how they can seriously shape a child's development, their relationships, and even who they become as an adult.
I mean, it's a huge question, right? And it really gets to the heart of all of our stories. The way our parents talked to us, the rules they set, the love they showed, all of that laid the groundwork for our confidence, our resilience, and pretty much how we see the entire world.
So to understand all the different styles, we first got to look at the work of psychologists like Diana Baumrind. She had this amazing insight that the huge, complex job of parenting could basically be boiled down to two fundamental ingredients.
Okay, so think of it like two dials on a stereo. The first dial is control, or how demanding a parent is. This is all about the rules, the expectations, the discipline. The second dial is warmth, or how responsive they are. That's the affection, the listening, the emotional support. Turns out, every parenting style is just a different mix of where you set these two dials.
And this is where it gets really cool, because this slide basically gives us a map. You can see how these two ingredients create four totally distinct boxes. You crank up the warmth and the control, you get authoritative. You keep the control high but turn the warmth way down, that's authoritarian. It's a simple idea, but it's an incredibly powerful way to look at things.
All right, let's dive into that map, starting with that high control column on the right. Now, both of these styles have a lot of rules, but the way those rules are handled creates two completely different worlds for a kid.
So on one side, you have authoritarian parenting. This is all about obedience, my way or the highway. The rules are absolute, not a lot of room for talking about it. But on the other side, authoritative parents, they also have clear expectations, but they balance it with a ton of warmth. They actually explain why the rules exist and are willing to listen.
Ah yes, this one phrase. It's basically the calling card of the authoritarian style, isn't it? It just shuts down the conversation. It reinforces that the parent's power is the only reason you need to listen. There's just no room for understanding why.
And this really shows you what can happen. Let's imagine Sarah. She learns to just follow orders and push down her own feelings to get approval. And as an adult, kids raised this way are often really good at following rules, but they can struggle with low self-esteem and have a really hard time making their own decisions.
Now, look at the contrast with Arthur. He has boundaries, for sure, but because they're paired with discussion and emotional support, he doesn't just learn to obey, he learns to understand. He learns how to deal with challenges and to feel confident in who he is.
And this is exactly why psychologists so often point to the authoritative style as the gold standard. That balance of firm guidance and loving support, it just tends to produce kids who aren't only successful, but are also well-adjusted and resilient people.
Okay, let's jump over to the other side of our map, the styles that are low on control. And you'll see a similar pattern here, two very different outcomes, and the big difference maker is warmth.
So you've got permissive parents who are all about the love, but not so much about the rules. They're kind of like a best friend. But then you have uninvolved parents, and they're low on both warmth and rules. They can be emotionally or even physically absent, basically leaving kids to raise themselves. So Peter's story shows the big challenge here. He feels super loved, which is awesome, but with no boundaries, no one ever saying no, he never really learns self-control. And he's not prepared for a world that isn't going to give him everything he wants.
And then there's Nora. Her experience is, well, it's probably the most damaging. That total lack of guidance or affection leaves a huge void. Kids in these situations often have a really tough time with attachment, with self-worth, and they're at a much higher risk for things like depression and anxiety.
But wait, the story doesn't actually end with those four classic styles. In the last few decades, a fifth style has kind of emerged, one that's become way more common, and it's all about intense involvement.
I'm sure you've heard these terms before, right? Helicopter parents who are always hovering, and snowplow parents who just clear every single obstacle out of their kids' way. And look, they're driven by deep love and a desire to protect their kids from any failure or pain. But this well-meaning approach can seriously backfire. This cycle is everything. So, a kid faces a problem. The parent immediately jumps in and fixes it. What's the result? The child never gets the chance to learn how to solve problems on their own. They accidentally learn that they're not capable, which can lead to major anxiety and a paralyzing fear of making mistakes.
So after going through all 5 of these really different approaches, what's the big takeaway? Is there, one perfect way to be a parent? Well, the research suggests it's not about being perfect. It's about one key thing:
And here we are, right back where we started. Diana Baumrinn's conclusion was actually so simple. The best outcomes come from finding that sweet spot, that balance between setting clear expectations, the demandingness, and giving unconditional love and support, the responsiveness.
And honestly, that's the most important point. This isn't about trying to shove yourself or your parents into some rigid box. It's just about being aware of how these things work. A little more warmth here, a slightly clearer boundary there. These small intentional changes can make a massive difference.
So I'll leave you with this question. As you think about your own childhood, or maybe your own parenting journey, which of these styles feels the most familiar? Just thinking about that, it's the first step toward understanding ourselves and each other a whole lot better.